We also thank and welcome Mr. Fengchai Chimwa Murombe, the attorney and founding partner from Republic of Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We thank Mr. Meredith Bale, lobbyist and technology advisor to corporations and political circles at highest levels in Los Angeles, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today.
We also welcome Mr. K. Sri Dhammaratana, Venerable Datuk of Malaysia. We welcome you, sir.
And we also welcome Mr. Gunaselan Raju, the National Executive Secretary of Central Working Committee of the Malaysian Indian Congress. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Deepan Mitra, Secretary General for World Hindu Federation from Bangladesh. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We also welcome Divyansh Patel, Mr. Divyansh Patel, the representative of BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir, Chino Hills, California, USA. Thank you, sir, for joining with us today.
We also welcome Mr. Vishal Patel, the representative from BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from West Virginia, USA. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And we welcome Mr. Gopal Salanke, the representative for BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from Oregon, USA. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Alpesh Solanki, the representative from BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from Pennsylvania, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today. We are so delighted to welcome all the dignitaries that have joined us today. We thank Mr. Sunny Patel, the representative from BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from Georgia, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today.
And we welcome the Ambassador Anthony G. Hilton, the Member of Parliament from Jamaica. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome Mr. Neil Patel, the candidate for Republican primaries for Ohio State from Columbus, Ohio. We welcome you, sir.
And we welcome Mr. Devendranath
Tanku,
Member of Parliament from Trinidad and Tobago. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome His Holiness Jagat Guru Sri Dilip Ji Maharaj, an NGO representative to the United Nations, spiritual guru, a Hindu monk, interfaith minister from New York, USA. Thank you so much for joining us, Sri Dilip Ji Maharaj. And we would like to thank each and every esteemed guest that have joined us today for this auspicious celebrations of the Jayanti Mahotsava, the Avatara Dinotsava celebrations of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam.
Now we are going to be entering into a very, very exciting session where we are going to be having the delegates from Sri Kailasa who are going to be sharing with us the hard work and the amazing, immense contribution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his revival of Sri Kailasa, as well as the humanitarian efforts that Swamiji has been doing, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been doing from a very, very young age. So now let us enter into this segment. Joining with us, we have Ma Tushi as well as Sri Nithyananda, who are going to be joining with us and taking us through this. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Nithyanandam Paramasukhatam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrasham Tattvamasya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam.
Nithyanandam.
Let me start by introducing myself. I am Sri Nithya Muktananda from Kailasa, USA, and here in Los Angeles. And along with me is Ma Toshi Thurun from Kailasa, Canada. Welcome, Ma Toshi. It's great to be hosting this session with you.
Yes, same here. Yeah, excited.
Awesome. So today is the continuation of Nithyanandotsava, the 21-day festival of celebration of the 45th Avatara Dinotsava, that is 45 years since the advent of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Today is a very special day in that celebration. Today is Kailasa's Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Day. Well, what does that mean? Before I get to that, I really want to welcome everyone who is joined here, who is so excited to see Swamiji, who we call the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism very fondly. I know everyone is joined here from around the world to join us in this celebration. So I welcome all the Kailasavasis, all practicing Hindus around the world, and especially our honored guests, leaders, ministers, mayors, administrators, diplomats, army generals, human rights advocates, and CEOs from joining us from over 30 countries today. Welcome to all of you. Great.
Welcome.
Nithyananda Day. It is a special day of global celebration. We are celebrating the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his lifelong effort to preserve, protect, and share Hinduism and the science of enlightenment it represents. Hundreds of cities, countries, and prominent leaders are joining us today in not only celebrating the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's contribution to the world, but specifically to gender equality, freedom of religion, and also world peace. And over 30 cities have actually declared today as Paramahamsa Nithyananda Day in their respective places. And Swamiji has done all this great service to humanity for many years, in spite of the continued persecution that he has been facing. So today, we are really honored to have the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself addressing us. And before inviting him, we would like to present a short presentation of a journey, the spiritual journey that Swamiji has taken from his beginnings in Tiruvannamalai, which is the spiritual capital of the world, to where he is right now as the sovereign of the sovereign state of Kailasa, and the enormous work and contribution that he's done, especially to a whole series of Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations efforts. Let's get to it. Ma Toshi, are you ready?
Yes.
Fantastic. Let me just share my screen. Excellent. To tell the story of His Divine Holiness, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, to tell the story of his journey, we have to start at the very beginning. The very place where he was born, Tiruvannamalai, which is the spiritual capital of the world, and all the seekers of enlightenment. This place actually is referred to in, like Swamiji likes to say, everything needs to be acid washed by Shastra Pramana, which is whether it is referred to in the scriptures, and then Apta Pramana, which is referred to by enlightened masters, Atma Pramana, which is personal experience of Swamiji, and Sakshi Pramana, which is our own personal experience. I can say that Arunachala or Tiruvannamalai, Tiruvannamalai is the city. In that, Arunachala is a hill which represents Paramashiva, who is the original author of yoga. He is the original author of the science of enlightenment. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about Tiruvannamalai, and it says, Darshanat avarasi dasi, Jananat kamalalaye, Kasyanda maranam mukti, Smaranat arunachale, which means there are cities in India which represents the sacred sites where Shiva represents various forms. And if one is born, one comes to visit Shiva and sees the darshan or the view of Shiva in that city, Chidambaram, or if they take birth in Tiruvarur, or if you die in the city called Kasi, all gives you liberation. They all give you liberation. But for many, this may not be possible. So for everybody, even if you remember the city of Arunachala, Tiruvannamalai, you get liberated. That is the power of that city. Also, there is a very famous enlightened master, incarnation of Shiva, who used to live in Tiruvannamalai. His name was Ramana Maharishi. And he wrote a beautiful verse in Tamil. Aduve talam arunachalam, talam yavilum adigam, adubhumiyin idayam, ari aduve shivan idaya. What he said was, Arunachala is the ultimate holy site of holy sites. It's ultimate place in the world. It is the heart of the world. And it is the place where Shiva resides himself. Swamiji himself has said that Paramashiva has promised the world that he will always reside in Tiruvannamalai in three forms. One, as the Arunachala hill, that you can see the picture of that on your left, as Shivalinga, the incarnation of the physical form of Shiva, you can see that in the middle, and through a lineage of enlightened beings in Tiruvannamalai. And Swamiji comes in this lineage of enlightened beings who was promised by Shiva. So this is the place from which Swamiji was born. Now let's listen from Matushi about his how he was born and how he was identified as an incarnation. Matushi.
Yes. So Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism not only was born in the spiritual headquarters of the city called Tiruvannamalai in India, at his early age, when he was 3, he was identified as for his avataric mission by enlightened masters, avatar, and adepts. There is a science for these people to be identified for an avataric mission, particularly for Swamiji himself, Yogi Rijaj, Yogananda Puri, and Vidwan Panduranganar, and the 230th Guru Maha Sannidhanam of Tondamandala Adinam. They have been the pillars in the early ages of getting the guidance from various other masters in recognizing Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism for his avataric mission. In 1981, July, he was given the initiation of Bala Sannyas. Bala Sannyas is a child saint. This is how Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism started his avataric mission.
Great. So just wanted to re-emphasize that the science of identifying an incarnation is well-known science in Hinduism. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the 1008th incarnation of Paramashiva, who is the original author of the yoga sciences, the science of enlightenment. And from the young age, he was trained by all these adepts, all these yogis. And in fact, Swamiji used to say that Yogi Yogananda Puri used to make him do Surya Namaskar, which is an intense yoga practice from sunrise to sunset. And he would make him climb the pillars of the temple of Arunachala up and down all through the day. So that's how intense his training was growing up. And not only did he get trained in yoga, he also got trained in the scriptures by a variety of gurus. He, in fact, at the age of 10, he was directly trained by Paramashiva himself, an incarnation of Paramashiva, Arunagiri Yogeshwara, whose embodiment lives in Arunachala. He met Swamiji on a daily basis for 3 years, and he trained him personally. And this is a very highly mystical experience. And at the age of 10, Swamiji had his very first enlightenment experience at the very hill where you are seeing the picture. And at the age of 16, he was initiated to inherit the entire enlightenment ecosystem of Arunachala. And that initiation was done by Mata Vibhunananda Puri, also called Kuppamat. You can see her picture here. And Swamiji was initiated into sannyas and inheriting this ecosystem, which means carrying on the principles of the enlightenment ecosystem of Arunachala and spreading it, taking it to the whole world.
And SPH early days with his gurus not only gave him the training to realize his avataric mission, but also trained him in starting from building ashrams for himself around the world. So the first picture that you see on the top left-hand corner, that is where SPH was very young. You could see the circle picture is SPH on that black and white photograph. This was in Tiruvannamalai itself, where his guru, Mataji Vibhulananda Puri, where Swamiji was building the ashram for her brick by brick. Gurus guided him and he followed. Since then, on the bottom left-hand corner, that was the first Adinam or monastery complex that was established in Tiruchenkodu. Early years of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was tireless hard work, touching being at a time, stone at a time, building infrastructures, building community, building people. As you could see in the middle of it, where Swamiji himself is laying the foundational brick, was Adi Kailasa Sarvanyapedam, which is the headquarters in India, Bangalore. These stones itself, the brick stones itself, were handmade by Swamiji himself. Certainly, during his mission, within few years of span, the growth has spread all over India. Every nook of the corner, people heard Swamiji's mission and what he's been contributing to people and society. As you could see the picture on the right-hand top corner, where he's conducting in 2004 mass living enlightenment initiation conventions, where thousands and thousands of people have been given conscious breakthrough to live the highest potential of their lives. Once the spread across the India has happened, then the mission expanded into the global stage. Muktaya would lead into what has happened in the global stage after this.
Yes, starting from these humble beginnings, very quickly, Swamiji's mission spread all around the world. And by age 30, he had established centers in over 100 countries. Here you can see a picture of him meeting with the mayor of St. Louis in the USA. That is one of his first visits to the United States. And this is a picture of what Matushi was saying. Everywhere he went, there were tens and thousands of people, huge crowds, initiated by Swamiji, waiting to listen to his message, imbibing the story of living enlightenment, the idea of living enlightenment into their lives, whether it is in India or Oklahoma or Malaysia or Australia. Swamiji traveled all over the world. And in fact, by the age of 30, there were already 5 centers in the US, Los Angeles, Seattle, Ohio, St. Louis. And also there were centers in Malaysia, Singapore, and many other countries all over the world.
Swamiji was not only having spiritual awakening classes and touching humanity, he have conducted major Hindu festivals. One of them is Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is the largest human gathering in the world. Two such Kumbh Mela was conducted in 2015 in Nasik and 2016 in Ujjaini. For these Kumbh Mela, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism invited global seekers. It's not just people from southern part of India or India itself. Global seekers have gathered in these places to experience and having the conscious breakthrough through Swamiji's initiations and programs. Not only seekers gathered, other monastery heads and leaders of Hinduism gathered to learn and celebrate authentic Hinduism through Bhagavan himself.
Matashi, you were saying it's the largest gathering of humanity in the world. Just to understand the scale, there are 130 million people who gather in one place. The number is just unimaginable. And many of them are there just to see Swamiji, just for a glimpse. And we were there in those centers when we were hosting this event. The gate, early morning, it would start. People would wait in long lines, few 100,000 people just waiting to get in, just to get a glimpse of His Divine Holiness, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Swamiji, as you see, through his tireless efforts, Swamiji began to be recognized as the leader of Hinduism. As we know, we all know that at a very young age, he was ordained as the 233rd Guru Mahasannidhanam, or the Pontiff of Tondai Mandala Adinam, Kanchi Kailasa Sarvagnya Pita. And he is also the current incumbent emperor of Surya Vamsa Surangi Samrajyam. He is the 23rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of Dharmamukti Swargapura Adinam. He was also coronated as the Mahasannidhanam of Kailasa Sonnada Shamala Pita Sarvagnya Pitam, which is Madurai Adinam. Madurai Adinam, deserves a special mention. It is the oldest Adinam established in India, and it's directly established by an incarnation of Paramashiva, and the lineage of leaders of pontiffs of Madurai Adinam have been the incarnations of Paramashiva. On the bottom left, you can see Swamiji being coronated as the Mahamandaleshwar, which is the supreme spiritual head of Mahanirvani Akada, which is the largest monastic order of Hindus in India. And he was also appointed the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar of Atal Akada. It is another organized body of Hindu monks. It's actually the largest body of Hindu monks. And finally, in 2015, a gathering of 1,000 spiritual heads of Hinduism elected His Divine Holiness as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in Bidadi, India.
So all that foundational work which has happened over the years led to the formation of Sri Kailasa civilizational nations that we all cherish and celebrate today. Sri Kailasa is a microcosmic, ancient Hindu enlightened civilizational nation. The vision of Sri Kailasa is giving living enlightenment for all of humanity, not just for Hindus, for all humanity. Kailasa's mission is to revive the greatest science of authentic Hinduism, where people can apply it in their life to live peacefully, harmoniously, and achieve the true potential of each of the beings. Mainly reviving the science in various areas such as cosmology, alchemy, biology, mathematics, especially into power manifestations. All of these science were practiced freely in over 56 nations across the continent, but are now facing extinctions due to persecution. Even withstanding all the persecution that has come against Sri Kailasa and SPH himself, SPH have revived all these signs across the globe. Swamiji himself is bringing the light for 2 billion Hindus, practicing Hindus, who are waiting to revive and live and preserve the science for the next generations to come. Kailasa do not put importance on territory alone. However, it also have sovereign territory as we speak. But its major mandatory of Sri Kailasa is to establish the enlightened ecosystem around the world, where people live in community, living, practicing authentic Hinduism science to create the betterment of their life. Wherever the Adi Saivite community settled down in various parts of the globe, you could see how they contribute to the economy and the society at large, and also they themselves live peaceful and blissful, successful life in all dimensions.
Madhushi, thank you for mentioning that. The Adi Shaivites, where they live, in fact, we have statistics to show that in the United States, the Hindus are the most prosperous community among all religions, whether it comes to percentage of people who have a degree, college degree, who are educated, the income of a family, they are the highest. When it comes to crime rates, the Hindu society has the lowest crime rate. They have the lowest drug use, lowest divorce rates. So extremely stable society, very well behaved, contributing to the community. And this is all due to the science of enlightenment, the lifestyle of Hinduism. And this is the same successful lifestyle that Swamiji wants to bring to everybody. A little bit more about persecution. Of course, yes, over a millennia, many colonial rulers in India and foreign invaders have destroyed Hinduism from the ground up. They have destroyed temples, they have destroyed organizations, libraries, burnt books. But one of the worst things that happened was destruction of our Gurukul, which is the education system that teaches Hinduism. More than that, more recently, in the last 50, 60 years, there has been a concerted effort to destroy Hinduism from the inside. Gurus who are teachers in Hinduism reveres gurus or masters, enlightened masters who can pass on the experience to others. So from the inside out, in Hindu extremists and atheists in India have actually destroyed this system and persecuted Hindu gurus, especially Swamiji, over the last 20 years, and made it very difficult for them to teach Hinduism. So lack of religious freedom is a huge problem. And second is the inability to practice Hinduism in its authentic form. The other thing that Swamiji very strongly believes in is gender equality. He's promoted women to be priests in temples. You would rarely see any women being a priest in Hindu temples in the US outside of Swamiji's temples, and very few in India. He has promoted women to be monks. He's established universities, especially for women, exclusively for women. So this progressive stance towards gender equality in religion is one of the main reasons why Swamiji is persecuted today. And this is the reason why the extremists have wanted to, even attempted to assassinate Swamiji multiple times.
Despite
Despite
this all persecution that has happened, Sri Kailasa's success is thousands of enlightened ecosystem
Yeah.
around the world, which is standing tall and spreading day by day to revive the science and give the greater science to humanity.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable that in spite of all the lawfare and all the assassination attempts on his life, he has never stopped working on doing things that benefit humanity. Great. Let's move on. So yeah, now we come to the main idea of what we are going to talk about today, right? All the work that Swamiji has done since he was 16 years of age, all of them have been for the benefit of humanity. Of course, we talk about enlightenment science, but enlightenment science needs to include the everyday benefit that people want to see in their lives. And so Swamiji has worked not only for spreading this enlightenment science, he's also worked towards spreading health, education, supporting of women and women empowerment, protecting indigenous cultures, helping, protecting animals and the environment, and also working against climate change, working against terrorism, working against deforestation, helping other communities that are facing lawfare. So like this, I can actually talk about 108 different initiatives. They all are called Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations Initiative. What does it mean? It means bringing multiple nations together to create these initiatives for the benefit of the world. You all know the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations have. So all the Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations Initiative actually align with those Sustainable Development Goals and even expand on them in certain areas. The beauty of this is everything that Swamiji is teaching, whether it is holistic healthcare or amazing economic principles of enabling people to be successful, equality of women, equality of every person, irrespective of what background they come from. These are not just modern ideas. These come from the very basic teachings of Hinduism, which Swamiji has revived, the SPH has revived, and he wants to enable the entire world. So his goal is to use the science of consciousness to benefit all of humanity in every aspect. So individual enlightenment and global welfare are fully connected with each other. So essentially, the Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations Initiative are, when applied practically, are really the proof that Hindu sciences, which are already time-tested, which will provide lasting solutions to all the world problems, whether it is social, economical, environmental, etc. So now let's go look into these, each of these, a few examples of Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations Initiative.
Due to the time constraints, we will only looking at the highlights of few of these initiatives. One such initiative is nutritious food and a hunger-free world. It doesn't matter whether it's the starting monastery or even the lavish temple that SPH have built around the world today. Every monastery or temple complex serve food. This is one of the mandatory of these establishments. Not only serving food for the needed who are underprivileged, also giving the right food to the people, sattvic, organic food. Over the 27 years, 1 billion meals have been served throughout various campuses and monastery complexes. Not only that, 10,000 meals are served daily free of cost. And during festivals, certainly those numbers goes much beyond than that.
Yeah. And you can see Swamiji himself serving the food in many of those places. So that's great. Let's go through these quickly. The next big initiative is this Kailasa's Uniting Nations for affordable healthcare, affordable and holistic healthcare. One of the main things Swamiji has done is, I can talk a lot about his work in healthcare, but primarily during COVID, what he has done is something amazing. He opened up all the monasteries in India and around the world as sanctuaries for people who are looking to find a place where they can isolate, like where they can live separately and quarantine. He has made it free for all. That is, they get free food, free internet, they can work from there, free education, and including all the basic facilities. So a few thousand families, both in India and abroad, have taken advantage of this offer, and they have stayed safe from COVID. In addition, Swamiji has taught so many different techniques for us to boost the immune system and protect ourselves from COVID. You can see a huge list of these items here, and 30 million citizens of Kailasa followed this 28-day regimen which Swamiji had given, and they all benefited from these regimens. So in fact, many mayors of cities here in their proclamations have called out Swamiji's effort during COVID to help the communities here.
Another Sri Kailasa Uniting Nation efforts is education reform and development. Under this umbrella, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism have established the largest Hindu university, which has 270,000 plus enrollment with 2,700 plus free courses, which are being given free of cost through extended campuses in 150 countries. Not only the largest Hindu university Swamiji have established, the major contribution in the education sector is Nithyananda Gurukul. This is a Gurukul system is where kids go and learn, live beside master and learn from a master. This is to guru-disciple education. This education has existed in the past centuries and have been demolished by various other forms of educational system where the new millennium mind thought would be the best education system for the world. But even to this day, the model Gurukul system Swamiji have set up in Bengaluru, Adinam, have shown the benefit where the kids have been groomed to reach their highest potential without having comparison, inner violence, stress. These Gurukul kids are the examples of showing today's world how the ideal education system should be. And the stats also shows more than 50% of these children who have gone through this Gurukul system have 1 to 3 years ahead of their physical age when they sit for board exams. Not only that, 35% of the children have IQs above 130, which being identified in a so-called modern day as gifted kids. These are ordinary kids who were born and brought up to parents, but groomed in the education of Nithyananda Gurukul, which gave this success.
Yeah, so wanted to quickly add, I think many people would identify when we say that the colonialization, the colonial rulers, they had destroyed the indigenous education systems, and Swamiji is trying to bring it back, which is extremely critical. So let's move on to the next one, which is the Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations for Protecting Hindu Scriptures. Want to quickly move through this. Swamiji has actually collected ancient scriptures which were actually only on palm leaves. You can see pictures there, which were at the on the verge of destruction. He's collected over 1 million Hindu scriptures, and he's digitized them and uploaded them over like 15 terabytes of digital books and rare manuscripts. And he has done an amazing work. It's all available on kailasa.nithyanandanyanalaya.org. It's free for everybody. Everybody can go look at it, and they are free to do research on it and benefit, take the science from there for the benefit of all humanity. Let's go to the next one.
If we have to talk about all the contribution itself, it will take more than a day in detail. We all are waiting eagerly to receive Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism to hear his insights. So the next slides, we will just highlight what are the accomplishments through various projects. This one is peace, global peace and religious harmony. Many initiatives have been done through this umbrella. The few highlights are Minute for Peace, which was established in 2012. To this date, 4.3 billion minutes in meditation for world peace. Not only that, there has been larger collective meditations which have been conducted over the globe in various parts of the centers and temple just for the global peace.
Great. Not only that, for global peace and harmony, Swamiji has conducted so many interfaith meetings. And you can see here so many conferences that he has organized, which have brought together people of different faiths to talk about what is best for humanity. A great example is Kumbh Mela, which was organized in 2007. Like I said, Kumbh Mela is the largest gathering of humanity anywhere in the world in India. And with the permission of Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad, which is the owner of Kumbh Mela for thousands of years, they give blessings to Swamiji to conduct this program anywhere in the world. And so Swamiji conducted the very first Kumbh Mela in 2007 in Los Angeles here. And after that, it has been conducted here a few times. So let's move on.
The one more Sri Kailasa Uniting Nation initiative is Global Peace and Religious Harmony. For the under the religious harmony umbrella, there has been many peace walks and other initiatives. One highlight is thousands of villages in India came together covering 1,000 kilometers in a peace walk. These pictures speaks for themselves, where the people from different walks of life coming together, promoting the feeling of oneness despite of their differences.
Okay. We already spoke about Swamiji's work for gender equality and feminine empowerment. This is an area which it's like Swamiji has done so much work. There are many, many things to list. I'll only highlight a couple. He created a women's only university, the Yogini Sarvagnya Pita, which was completely run by women for women. And it was empowering women to fight against the wrongful gender stereotyping, gender-based violence, lack of inclusiveness. It was giving women the education to be self-sufficient and stand up for themselves. And that is exactly what he did also in this program called Nithyananda Lakshmi, which is the very first microfinancing service for women in India, which allowed them to start their own business, be self-sufficient, and stand up for themselves when needed. There are so many other programs which Swamiji has done for empowering women. I could, without exaggeration, say that it's very much been a part of his DNA to fight for gender equality and feminine empowerment.
The one more is Sri Kailasa Uniting Nation initiative is yoga. For yoga, Sri Kailasa holds 2 Guinness records, which were established in September and October in 2017. 108 kriyas, scientifically validated kriyas, has been formulated and presented to the people of the world to be healed from 108 major diseases and for its care. Not only it has been presented for the world to practice, teachers has been trained with the authentic yoga science, so they know the context before becoming a teacher themselves. And not only that, many, many books have been published for humanity to understand and celebrate the science as well as the benefit of the yoga.
Thank you, Matushi. And we want to conclude by saying, despite being heavily persecuted for over a decade, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has, has unwaveringly been committed to helping the world. And the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa has been built to protect, revive, and preserve Hinduism, which is the most ancient, most peaceful, and the longest lasting demonstrable system that shows the possibility of peaceful coexistence among people. So to honor his hard and selfless work, so many people around the world, humanitarians, leaders, mayors, have appreciated Swamiji and given proclamation. And only today, 32 cities in 3 countries have declared January 3rd, 2022 as Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda Day in their own local areas. And this is just for today. We have received so many proclamations from congresswomen and senators, congressmen, mayors, leaders all over the world, that last year Swamiji received 108 proclamations. And today only 32 cities have declared today as Nithyananda Day. So the world is beginning to appreciate the work that he has done for the benefit of humanity. Great. So
Finally,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Aya, and thank you every one of you who were patiently waiting to hear Swamiji. So certainly we are going to move into that segment. Before that, we conclude with our deepest gratitude for each and every one of you, including the honored guests who are joined with us today. Thank you, Nithyananda.
Thank you, everyone. Nithyanandam.